down on your back and bend your knees. And I want you to push your feet into the ground and then push your ribs down here. So you really feel your spine really tall here for a second. And bring your hands to your thighs. And as you do this, start to straighten through your arms. And then notice how your ribs might want to pop up a little bit. Push your ribs down again and really push into your hands here for a second. So your arms are straight as we are here. Chin is tucked. And then I want you to keep this kind of pushing here and then slowly lift your glutes up. So we're in our bridge pose. So core is on, glutes are on, hands are still on your thighs, and you can press down here. And as you press down, you can feel the more you push, the more you'll feel in your glutes and in your hamstrings as we breathe. Big breath in, big breath out. Now, while in our bridge pose, we're not necessarily into a back bend, but we're really focused on turning the glutes on, turning the core on, just like we'd be doing if we were sitting, standing, or walking. And then just pausing here for a second. And you can keep your legs just like this, and then we'll pull our left wrist back here and breathe. Yeah, just getting a little bit of a stretch here into the wrists, maybe even into the forearm, depending on how far you pull. And then we'll switch to the other side, so switching to the other wrist and then pulling back here. Continue to squeeze those glutes as you breathe. Awesome, then release both hands, bring them back down to your thighs, push into your thighs again, and then lower all the way down. So mid back, low back, and then tailbone untucks. I want you to keep your hands on your thighs here and then bring your thighs up. And I want you to push your hands into your thighs a little bit here. And you might find that your back arches just a little bit. That's okay. That's the natural curve of our spine while we're here. Flex your toes and just pause here for a second. So you're feeling your deep low core abdominals engage here. Bring your hands back behind your head. Elbows pointed towards the sky. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, nod your chin to your chest. Lift up off your shoulder blades. Firm your belly down and then curl up a little bit higher as you pull the head back. So you're not putting any pressure here in the cervical spine, but you want to firm your belly down as much as you can. Inhale and lower. Exhale, lift, come up and hold. Pause here for a second. Bring those thighs away a little bit more, and then see if you can curl up just a little bit more, and then firm the abdomen down. Inhale and lower. Exhale, lift, come up and hold. Pause again. Firm the belly down, bring the thighs forward, and I want you to bring your left hand to your left thigh and see if you can push the leg forward here, and then press back into your thigh as your thigh comes back into your hand, and then keep the curl. Hand comes back behind your head, inhale and lower. Exhale, lift, come up and hold. Bring your right hand to your right thigh this time. Again, pull the head back into the left hand and then push it forward. As you firm your belly down, feel your core engage, feel your glutes engage. Hand comes back behind your head, inhale and lower. We'll do two more just like this. Exhale, lift, come up and hold, firm the belly down. Left hand to the thigh and then push the thigh away. Feel the thigh press back into your hand. Hand comes back behind your head and lower. Exhale, lift, come up and hold. Right hand into the thigh this time, and then push, 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 push. Hand comes back behind your head and lower. All right, one more. Exhale, lift, come up and hold. See if you can hold here. Don't put too much strain into your head. And then bring your hands to your thighs and push both thighs forward with both hands. Think about gazing down your belly. You're not putting strain here in your neck, but you're really feeling your core work. Hands back behind your head and lower. Great job. Bring your knees down, open up your feet as wide as your mat. Bring your arms out like a cactus, and then we'll drop the knees over to the left. Flex your toes, and then push your right knee forward here, feeling this right hip flexor, feeling it kind of the whole right side body as we stretch. Awesome, bring your knees back through center, and then all the way over to the left. Push your left knee forward as we breathe here, and then feel your left hip flexor, feel your left side body as it lengthens. All right, then come back through center, and let's bring those legs back into a tabletop. We're gonna get a little bit into the obliques, so bring the hands back behind the head again, and then nod your chin to your chest, lift up off your shoulder blades, and take a turn 2 inches to the left. Keep your left shoulder blade lifted while we're here. Bring those thighs away from you. You can curl up just a little bit more. Bring your head back to center, inhale and lower. Exhale, lift, come up and hold, turn to the right, and then lift up off that right shoulder blade. It's a small turn here, we're not turning too far. Both elbows pull in. Come back to center and lower. Exhale, lift them up and hold. Turn to the left this time and pause. See if you can straighten your right leg out in front of you, but keep the twist to the left as you lift. Rebend the right leg, come to center and lower. Feeling those obliques, woo. Exhale, lift them up and hold. Turn to the right, lift up off that right shoulder blade, and then extend the left leg. Maybe you can drive through that heel as you curl up. Bring the leg back to center, inhale and lower. All right, 2 more. Exhale, lift, come up and hold. Turn to the left, extend your right leg. Keep your left hand here. Maybe bring your right hand to your thigh and then push into that left thigh as you keep the curl here. Feel your deep core abdominal muscles working. Come back to center, bring your knee in, inhale and lower. Exhale, lift them up and hold. Take a twist to the right, extend through that left leg. Bring your left hand to your right thigh and push the leg forward. Curl up, curl up, curl up. Hand comes back to head, inhale and lower. Great job, draw your knees into your chest, give yourself a nice big hug, and then we'll come all the way up and over to a tabletop. So stacking shoulders over the wrists, I want you to pin your shoulder blades back, and then kind of notice here, are you kind of dumping into your low back? Since we've been doing this for 12 days now, I want you to lift into your belly and lengthen through your spine as you're here, finding a nice tall spine. And then pause here for a second, keep the core engaged, and I want you to take your left toes back behind you and float them back behind you. Pause here for a second, square your hip, and then notice, are you starting to drop into your low back? See if you can lift here as we pause and as we breathe. Don't drop your chin, keep your chin tucked. And then see if you can bend your left leg. All right, now we're gonna move with some hip flexion. So keep your core engaged. We're gonna see if we can draw the left knee in, see if you can tap it towards the right, keep it hovering, and then re-lift the leg without arching in your low back. So keep the belly lifted, and then you're gonna flex the leg, and then bring it up. And if you wanna do this a little bit easier, you can always straighten the leg out and just draw the knee in and out. So just slow and control, you're feeling that core work, feeling your glute work. 2 more like this, lift. Try not to arch in that back, and then lower. Last one, lift. And then we'll lower the leg back down, and then we'll switch sides. So take the right toes back behind you, neutral pelvis, belly stays lifted. Float your right leg. Bend your knee, pause here for a second. Notice, did you arch in your back? Keep the belly firm, keep the shoulders firm, and then draw the right knee towards the left. And then the lift. Try not to arch into that back. So you're drawing in, and then you're lifting up. And maybe you take that leg long here as we do this. It's a little bit harder when you keep both legs bent. Try not to arch into that back here. So we're not using our back muscles, we're using our glute here. 2 more, tap, and then lift. 1 more, tap, and then lift and pause. Bring both knees back down to the ground. Tuck your toes under, and we'll lift up for our first down dog here. Start to take a little bit of a bend left and right. Warming and waking up your hamstrings. Maybe you shake your head no. Maybe you wag your hips from side to side. Finding a little bit of movement here. And I want you to push into your hands more so your shoulders lift up towards your ears. And then bend your knees a little bit here. And see if you can lift your tailbone a little bit higher towards the sky. So we're not dumping into the shoulders or rounding into the spine here. We're keeping the spine nice and long even as we move. All right, bend your knees. Let's step it forward, forward, fold. And then come to your fingertips here and see if you can take this hinge from the waist to the hip. So draw your shoulder blades back slightly. Tuck your chin so back of the head is really long here. Bend the knees just a little bit more. Inhale, arms sweep up and forward. Take a nice big full body stretch. Exhale, we'll hinge and fold. Bring your right toes back. We're gonna lower to the right knee. Untuck your toes and we'll come up for a little lunge here. And we'll pause here for a second. I just want you to start to roll your shoulders. Think about squeezing your left heel back towards your right knee so you feel your right hip flexor and starting to just get some movement here. Squeeze the glutes together so you're starting to really just move through the chest as we're here. Awesome. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring your hands to the ground. Step it back, plank pose, and then think about your neutral spine again. So pin your shoulder blades back, keep your core engaged. Head doesn't drop, keep it lifted. Lower your knees. Slowly lower your chest. Draw the shoulder blades back, come up, cobra. Keep this lift, press back, downward facing dog. Awesome, taking a little bit more movement here. You might notice the difference between your right and your left side. And then step your right toes forward, lower to your left knee, untuck your toes. As we come up again, firm the belly, firm the glutes, and then roll those shoulders again. Breathe. Awesome, this should feel really good on the shoulders. I'm just gonna tilt my screen up just a smidge more. That way you can see my full body as I do this. Awesome, and then bring your hands to the ground, and then think about keeping this tall spine as you come back up, step your back foot forward. Come to your fingertips, lengthen through your spine here. Inhale, arms reach up. Sweep the arms up and forward as you lift. Exhale, we'll hinge and fold again. Step your right toes back again, and we'll lower to the knee. Keep your toe tucked under this time as you're here. Bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your low back, and pause here for a second. Can you find a little bit more of a lift in the spine? So it's almost like you grew 2 inches taller, and then take your shoulders back slightly. Keep your left hand on your low back. Bring your right hand down to the ground, and then pin your shoulder blade onto your back. So we're just taking a slight twist here. I want you to pivot your right ankle just a little bit. You can untuck your toes if that feels better for your knee. And we're gonna take the left leg straight back behind us, and we're gonna pause. Push your pubic bone forward, so your glutes are really firm here. Between your right hand and your left knee, you're pretty close here, and you wanna click that shoulder into place. And then all we're gonna do is drive the left leg in, and we're gonna extend it out. Keep that left hand at your low back. So low back stays just as long as it did in that tabletop. Couple more, draw in and extend out. Awesome, draw in and extend out. One more, draw in. Pause here, we're gonna step this foot forward. We're gonna turn our right heel back. We're gonna load this left leg. Bring your right hand to your left thigh and start to shift forward to your warrior 3. Awesome, pause here for a second. Notice, are you rounding in your spine? Maybe you lift up to more of a T here, so your chest is a little bit more lifted, but you really wanna feel this here in your left glute as we breathe. Big breath in, big breath out. I'll give you a challenge here. Can you keep your left glute stable? Can you bring your right knee in to tap the left? And then extend it out. Don't compromise your spine here. We'll do it 2 more times. Tap, and then see if you can straighten. 1 more tap. And then straighten the leg. We'll take a big step to the right. We're coming to our goddess pose. So sinking through your hips here. And then notice, are you tipping forward? See if you can pull your ribs back, pull your glutes back. And just pause here for a second, maybe roll those shoulders again. So you're staying in the upright position even as we're here. Breathing in and breathing out. Awesome. 3 more big rolls back with those shoulders. 2, 1. Then bring your right hand down towards your left. Bring your left hand to the ground, and then let's step back to a plank pose. Pin your shoulder blades back, tall spine, lower your knees, lower your chest. Cobra, draw your hands back. Exhale, lift into down dog. Awesome, big breath in. Big breath out. Big breath in. Big breath out. All right, let's do the other side. Step your right toes forward. Lower to your left knee. You can keep your toes tucked under if that feels good for you. And come up to a tall spine. One hand to the belly, one hand to the low back, and then firm back. So notice, you can see kind of that anterior tilt of my pelvis. So if my pelvis were to be a cup, my cup would pour forward. Pull your ribs back, so glutes on core on over here. Then left hand comes to the ground, right hand stays at your low back. Pivot that left ankle, and then send the right toes back behind you. Left shoulder is right over your wrist. You may have to walk that left hand in a little bit. Right hand comes to your low back, push your pubic bone forward, drive through that heel, and you're just gonna draw the knee in and out. Slow and control. The slower you move, the more you're gonna feel it, and the less that we have to do here. Awesome, really squeeze those glutes. We're here for 3. They tend to snooze quite a bit. 2. Last one, draw in, and then step your foot forward. Load your right leg, left hand comes to your knee, and then slowly shift forward, warrior 3. Keep a little bit of a bend into this right leg. Notice, is your hip starting to flare up? Can you square your hip to the ground, draw your shoulder blades back as we breathe? And then maybe you can draw that left leg in and out. In and out. One more, draw in. And then we'll open to the side, goddess pose. Sitting up straight again, maybe one hand comes to the belly, one hand to the low back, and then roll those shoulders again, sink your hips. Yeah, this should feel really good on the shoulders. Hips should feel nice and open. Maybe even sink a little bit deeper without compromising that spine as we breathe. Awesome, 3, 2, 1. Now bring your hands down to the front. Let's step back to our plank pose again. Lower your knees, lower your chest. Cobra. Exhale, lift into down dog and breathe. Slide your toes in just a little bit. Big breath in. Big breath out. Cat and cow again. Yeah, just how your spine feels, how you feel, and breathe. Should feel really good on the chest. Feel it down the spine. We worked hard today. 2 more. Awesome, last one. Come back to neutral. And let's do child's pose. So big toes touch, hips open wide, and then push your hips back as much as you can. Maybe slide the hands forward, maybe you can bring the forehead down and breathe. Let's take a couple open mouth exhales. So inhale through your nose, and then take a nice deep open mouth. Relaxing your jaw. See if you can settle into the pose just a little bit more as you walk those hands forward and breathe. Two more big breaths while we're here. Awesome. Last one. And then let's slowly work ourselves up to a seat. Coming up seated tall here. And we'll bring the soles of the feet together. And then bring your hands around your toes and walk your hips forward here. So butterfly pose. I want you to keep your chest lifted as you start to hinge forward, and you'll feel your hips open a little bit more. So a lot of times in yoga classes, people will have you round forward. When we're rounding forward, we're hinging at the waist, and we're not really feeling it in our hips as much. So try to keep your chest tall as you come forward, and you'll feel it more in the hip flexors, more in the outer hips, even as we breathe here. Awesome. Last one, big breath in, and a big breath out. All right, let's slowly come up, and we'll walk the feet away from us this time. So you're making a big diamond shape here with your legs, as big of a kind of a square as you can. Bring your hands to your shins, and we're gonna start to lean forward again. And you'll start to feel this in the outsides of your hip and the outer hip, maybe in your glute or down the leg, just a little bit more as we breathe. Last big breath here. Keep that chest lifted. And then let's slowly come up. Bring your hands to the outside of your knees. Press your knees together. And then let's roll all the way down onto our back here. So take your time as you get down. Draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a nice big hug. And then let's drop those knees over to the right. And take your left arm, reaching it nice and long. You can take your gaze over to the right here as well as we breathe. Then we'll bring our knees back through center and all the way over to the left, extending that right arm really long here as we breathe. Awesome, then come back to center and bring your feet on the ground here for a second. Open up your feet wide and just knock your knees together. So we've done this a couple times. I just want you to feel your ribs push down, Feel your spine really long here on the mat, and maybe even take your hands back behind your head as you lengthen through the back of the neck and set it down here as we breathe. If it feels okay, you can stay just like this, or you can extend your legs. Maybe open your palms, drawing the shoulder blades back just a little bit more. Take a deep breath in. And an open mouth exhale. See if you can sink into the mat. Sink into your breath. And just breathe. Start to deepen your breath. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes, your head and your neck. Extend your arms up above your legs nice and long. Take a nice big full body stretch. Full body breath. One more just like this. Inhale. And exhale. Bend your knees and pick a side and roll over. Pausing for one more moment. And then slowly press yourself up to a seat. Spine nice and tall. Hands out, heart center. We'll end with,
help you find a place if you turn on location.
We'll end with one more big breath. Inhale. And exhale. Thank you so much for sharing your Saturday with me. Namaste. Awesome.